Hello dear friends, it's very hearty and warm welcome once again in this new lecture. Dear friends, in our today's lecture, we are going to study 2 to 3 little topics. First of all, we shall talk about sex chromosomes and then the phenomenon of linkage group and types of linkage. So, let us start the study of new topic, that is sex chromosomes. Sex chromosomes. In dioecious animals means the animals in which the male and female sexes are separate. Male individual and female individuals are separate. In such dioecious animals, there is a specific pair of chromosomes which is responsible for the determination of sex. In dioecious animals, there is a specific pair of chromosomes which is responsible for the determination of sex of that individual. Dioecious animals मध्ये याचा अर्थ ज्या animals मध्ये मेल आणि फिमेल सेक्सेस सेपरेट असतात अशा इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स मध्ये त्यांचा सेक्स डिटरमाइन करण्यासाठी त्यांच्या सेल्स मध्ये क्रोमोझोम्सची गुणसूत्रांची एक विशिष्ट जोडी असते. And that specific pair of chromosomes which is responsible for the determination of sex of that individual are known as sex chromosome. We can say that actually these sex chromosomes contain the genes responsible for the determination of sex. त्या इंडिव्हिज्युअलचं, त्या सजीवाचं सेक्स निश्चित करण्यासाठी, त्या इंडिव्हिज्युअलचं सेक्स डिटरमाइन करण्यासाठी जे जीन्स आहेत ते जीन्स ज्या गुणसूत्रांवर, ज्या क्रोमोझोम्सवर प्रेझेंट असतात अशा क्रोमोझोम्सला सेक्स क्रोमोझोम्स असं म्हणतात. And that's why once again I am going to repeat the definition of sex chromosome. Sex chromosomes are the chromosomes which are responsible for the determination of sex of that individual. These sex chromosomes are also known as allosomes or heterosomes. Allosomes or heterosomes. Here I am going to write briefly the definition of sex chromosomes. The chromosomes which are responsible for the sex determination, that is determination of sex of that individual are known as sex chromosome. And I said just now, these sex chromosomes are also known as allosomes or may be called as heterosomes. Here allo, this word stands for other. Hetero, this word also stands for other or different. Now why this is so? Why sex chromosomes are known as allosomes or heterosomes, that you will understand within a minute. Now in mammals including human being, in all mammals including human being, as well as in most of the insects, in all mammals including human being and in most of the insects, there is a presence of dissimilar chromosomes in male. In mammals including human being as well as in most of the insects, the sex chromosomes are unidentical, dissimilar in male individual, because in male individuals, in a pair of sex chromosome, one sex chromosome is longer and another X chromosome is shorter. in these mammals, I said in human being also, the sex chromosomes are unidentical. Sex chromosomes are dissimilar. One sex chromosome appear longer and another shorter. The shorter sex chromosome is known or represented as capital Y, and longer sex chromosome represented by letter capital X. And that's why we can say in male individuals, the sex chromosomes are represented as XY. Sex chromosomes are represented as XY. While in these animals, female individuals show pair of X chromosome. That's why in female individuals, the sex chromosomes are represented as XX. So here simply we can say that in mammals, including human being, as well as in most of the insects, the male sex chromosomes are represented as XY and female sex chromosomes are represented as XX. Now here, as in female, both the sex chromosomes are identical, similar. That's why the female sex chromosomes may be known as homomorphic sex chromosomes. Homomorphic sex chromosomes. Homomorphic. You know, homo stands for same, identical, saman. Morphic stands for structure. Means here, these both female sex chromosomes are similar, identical, and hence they are homomorphic. While in male individuals, the sex chromosomes are unidentical. One is longer, one is shorter, and that's why the male sex chromosomes are also known as heteromorphic sex chromosome. Here, we people have to discuss little bit about the physical structure and also little bit about the genetic structure of X and Y chromosome. We know that X and Y chromosome, they are structurally as well as genetically different. Both are structurally and genetically different. Let us talk the basic difference between them. Say the X chromosome is longer. X chromosome is longer, rod-like, having the length of about 5 to 5.5 micron. So X chromosome is longer, rod-shaped, and length 5 to 5.5 micron, and this X chromosome is submetacentric. It is submetacentric. In our previous lecture we have studied submetacentric means the centromere is present slightly away from the middle. Here centromere, I have shown this primary constriction. It is not exactly at the middle, but it is slightly away from the middle, and you know such chromosome is described as submetacentric. So the X chromosome is longer, rod shaped, length 5 to 5.5 micron, and it is submetacentric, while the Y chromosome is shorter. Y chromosome is shorter. It is curved or bent. It is curved or bent, but in human being it is straight. It is not curved. Remember, means except human being, in other mammals and even in most of the insects, say Drosophila, fruit fly, insect आहे, आणि इतर मॅमल्स मध्ये सुद्धा मानवा व्यतिरिक्त हा जो Y क्रोमोझोम आहे असा बेंड किंवा हुक्ड असतो. But in human being, Y chromosome is straight, and here this Y chromosome is having the length of about 2 to 2.5 micron, and it is acrocentric. It is acrocentric. You know, acrocentric means the centromere is present near one end. In addition to that, you must know that some part of X and Y chromosome, some part of X and Y chromosome show identical genes and therefore that parts are said to be homologous parts of each other. Let me show in diagram. Suppose here I am going to draw this Y chromosome as straight because in human being it is straight. Now here consider this much upper part of X chromosome as well as Y chromosome shows unidentical genes and therefore these upper parts, what I have shown with the help of yellow chalk, represent the non-homologous region. Non-homologous region or non-homologous parts. These are non-homologous parts. Why this much region of both, I am going to show with the help of pink color, contain identical genes and therefore this part is said to be homologous part or homologous region. Homologous region. We all are known homologous, non-homologous means identical, unidentical means only some part of X and Y chromosome, some part of X and Y chromosome contain identical genes, identical gene loci, and that's why they are said to be homologous, and some part does not show identical genes, therefore that parts are called non-homologous parts. In addition to that, let me tell you, this X chromosome contain large amount of euchromatin, and less heterochromatin. Now what does it mean? Euchromatin and heterochromatin. Euchromatin means it is extended part of chromatin. Extended part means it is loose part of the chromatin. Extended or loose part of the chromatin, and thus it contains large amount of DNA, ultimately large number of genes, and therefore this euchromatin is considered as the active chromatin. It is called active chromatin. Try to understand. Let me draw here one diagram just for your understanding. We know that the chromosome is nothing but the condensed form of chromatin fiber, isn't it? Chromosome is nothing but the condensed part of chromatin fiber, and we know chromatin fibers are made up of DNA along with other nucleoproteins. आपण शिकलेलो आहोत की क्रोमोझोम हा क्रोमॅटिन फायबरच्या कंडेन्सेशन मुळे कॉइलिंग सुपर कॉइलिंग मुळे तयार झालेला आहे. म्हणजेच या ठिकाणी हा जरी या ठिकाणी आपण क्रोमोझोम दाखवत असलो तरी सुद्धा हे क्रोमॅटिन फायबरचंच कंडेन्स्ड रूप आहे, कॉइल्ड किंवा सुपर कॉइल्ड रूप आहे. मग या क्रोमोझोम मध्ये एक्स क्रोमोझोम मध्ये काही ठिकाणी तो क्रोमॅटिन फायबर आपल्याला अशा प्रकारे एक्सटेंडेड दिसतो, लूजली अरेंज दिसतो, आणि काही ठिकाणी कंडेन्स्ड, हायली कंडेन्स्ड, कॉम्पॅक्ट अशा प्रकारे दिसतो. नाउ यू सी here this extended or less coiled part represents euchromatin. I said this euchromatin is also called active chromatin because it contains large amount of DNA, obviously large number of genes, while the highly condensed part represent heterochromatin. It contains less DNA, ultimately less number of genes, and that's why this heterochromatin is inactive chromatin. It is called inactive chromatin. It means that the X chromosome contains more active chromatin and less inactive chromatin, and exactly reverse condition is seen in Y chromosome. Y chromosome मध्ये याच्या बरोबर उलट स्थिती दिसते. In Y chromosome there is more heterochromatin and less euchromatin. Y chromosome मध्ये मात्र हेटेरोक्रोमॅटिनचं प्रमाण जास्त आहे, इनएक्टिव्ह क्रोमॅटिनचं प्रमाण जास्त आहे आणि euchromatin ऍक्टिव्ह क्रोमॅटिनचं प्रमाण हे कमी असतं. So here we have studied about the sex chromosomes. या ठिकाणी आपण sex chromosomeचा अभ्यास केला. Now we people have to move to the next topic, that is linkage. But before going to the linkage, one more term I would like to add. I told you the definition of sex chromosome. The chromosomes which are responsible for the determination of sex are known as the sex chromosome. But the other chromosomes except sex chromosome in the cell, in the nucleus of cell, which are responsible to control general body characters, that is somatic characters, and have nothing to do with the sex, are called autosomes. Remember this term. अर्थात त्या सेल्सच्या न्यूक्लियस मध्ये क्रोमोझोम ची एक जोडी की जी सेक्स डिटरमाइन करते, म्हणून त्यांना आपण म्हणणार आहोत सेक्स क्रोमोझोम. पण उरलेल्या ज्या क्रोमोझोमच्या जोड्या आहेत की ज्या इतर शारीरिक गुणधर्म, इतर भौतिक गुणधर्म, other we can say somatic or general body characters are controlled, अशा क्रोमोझोम्सला म्हटलं जातं ऑटोझोम्स. Let me explain you by giving the example of human being. All of you are known, in human being there are presence of 23 pairs of chromosome in our body cells, isn't it? 23 pairs of chromosome in each and every body cell, in each and every somatic cell. आपल्या सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे की मानवाच्या प्रत्येक सेल मध्ये गुणसूत्रांच्या क्रोमोझोम्सच्या 23 जोड्या असतात आणि यापैकी फक्त एक जोडी सेक्स क्रोमोझोम आहे. यू नो, in male it is XY and in female it is XX. Means the remaining 22 pairs of chromosomes, or we can say 44 chromosomes, are responsible to control the general body characters, somatic characters, and such chromosome which control general body characters are known as autosomes. Is that clear? Means the chromosomal constitution of human male can be represented as 22 plus XY. Here 22 pairs. So let me write 44. 44 plus XY, that is 44 autosome. 44 autosomes, that is 22 pairs of autosome and XY as a sex chromosome. It is the chromosomal constitution of human male, while the chromosomal constitution of human female is represented as 44 plus XX. Again, the 44, that is 22 pairs, represent autosomes and XX represent the sex chromosomes. Okay, so here we have discussed sex chromosomes. Now let us talk about the linkage. Next topic, linkage. In our previous topic, chromosomal theory of inheritance, we have studied chromosomes are called carriers of heredity because the chromosomes contain numerous hereditary units, that is genes, and that genes control the different characters of human being. Also, that genes are responsible for the expression and inheritance of character, and genes are present on the chromosome. That's why the chromosomes are known as carriers of heredity. आपण मागच्या एका लेक्चर मध्ये असं शिकलो की क्रोमोझोम्सला कॅरियर्स ऑफ हेरिडिटी असं म्हटलं जातं. अर्थात क्रोमोझोम्स हे गुणधर्मांचे वाहक आहे, कारण गुणसूत्रांवर क्रोमोझोम्सवर असंख्य हेरिडिटरी युनिट्स, ज्यांना आपण जीन्स असं म्हणतो, हे प्रेझेंट असतात. आणि हे जीन्स त्या सजीवाचे वेगवेगळे कॅरेक्टर्स नियंत्रित करतात आणि इनहेरिट करतात, पुढच्या जनरेशन मध्ये, नेक्स्ट जनरेशन मध्ये कॅरी करत असतात. नाउ as I said just that the chromosome contain so many different hereditary units, that is genes, in linear fashion. Consider all these are supposed to be the genes. All these are supposed to be the genes present on that particular chromosome. Now, the genes present on same chromosome, the genes present on same chromosome show the tendency to remain together during inheritance, that is during hereditary transmission. Listen once again. The tendency of genes present on the same chromosome to remain together and inherit together, to remain together during the inheritance, during the hereditary transmission is known as linkage. याचा अर्थ असा होतो की एका क्रोमोझोमवर जेवढे जीन्स आहेत ते एक नॅचरल टेंडन्सी दाखवतात. कसली नॅचरल टेंडन्सी दाखवतात? दे ऑलवेज ट्राइज टू रिमेन टुगेदर. ते एकत्रच राहण्याचा आणि पुढच्या पिढीमध्ये सुद्धा एकत्रच संक्रमित होण्याची जी टेंडन्सी, ॲबिलिटी दाखवतात त्याला म्हणतात लिंकेज. इट मीन्स that genes present on one chromosome show a sort of bonding among themselves, so that they always tries to remain together and also inherit together. This phenomenon is known as linkage, and the genes are called as linked genes. अर्थात आपण कल्पना करूया की समजा या ठिकाणी मी A, B, C, D हे असंख्य जीन्स दाखवलेत. हे सगळे जीन्स एकाच क्रोमोझोमवर आहेत आणि म्हणून हे सगळे लिंक्ड आहेत. कन्सिडर हियर इज अनदर क्रोमोझोम and on this chromosome also some genes are present. Suppose we can say P, Q, R, S, T, whatever it may be. Now here these P, Q, R, S, T genes are present on this chromosome, so they are also linked. But A, B, C, D and P, Q, R, S, T, these are non-linked genes, isn't it? Because these A, B, C, D genes are present on separate chromosome, P, Q, R, S, T genes are present on separate chromosome. So simply, the tendency of genes present on one chromosome to remain together and inherit together, that is during hereditary transmission they also remain together. This tendency is called as the linkage. And those genes present on same chromosome togetherly form linkage group. The genes present on one chromosome togetherly represent linkage group. एका क्रोमोझोमवर जेवढे जीन्स आहेत त्या जीन्स मिळून एक लिंकेज ग्रुप मानला जातो. अर्थात त्यामुळे the number of linkage groups are equal to the number of chromosomes in haploid set. Number of linkage groups are equal to the number of chromosomes in haploid set. याचा अर्थ एखाद्या सजीवाच्या हॅप्लॉइड सेट मध्ये जितके गुणसूत्र आहेत, जितके क्रोमोझोम्स आहेत, तितकेच त्याच्यामध्ये लिंकेज ग्रुप मानले जातात. We know that as far as concerned with human being, the haploid number of chromosomes are 23, isn't it? So obviously in human being the number of linkage groups are also 23. So you might have understood the meaning of linkage and meaning of linkage groups. Before talking about the kinds of linkage, I would like to define about the linkage and linkage groups. Now let us talk about the kinds of linkage. kinds of linkage. Friends, just now we have studied the meaning of this term linkage. It is very well known to all of you. Linkage, it is the tendency shown by the genes present on the same chromosome to remain together during hereditary transmission, during inheritance. Now, the linkage, it can be classified into different types. There are different kinds of linkage. Linkage याचे काही प्रकार पाडले जातात, त्याचं वर्गीकरण केलं जातं. Basically, the linkage is classified by two different ways. Let me explain you first type. The kinds of linkage, types of linkage on the basis of strength of linkage. Try to understand. The kinds of linkage or types of linkage on the basis of strength of linkage. On the basis of strength of linkage. We know that linkage is nothing but the sort of bonding shown by the genes present on the same chromosome. Linkage याला आपण वेगळ्या शब्दात असं सांगू शकतो की एकाच क्रोमोझोमवर असणारे जेवढे जीन्स आहेत त्यांच्यामध्ये असणारं एक प्रकारचं बॉन्डिंग, त्याला आपण लिंकेज असं म्हणतो. मग हे बॉन्डिंग, हे त्यांचं बॉन्डिंग याची स्ट्रेंथ किती आहे याच्या आधारावर लिंकेजचं वर्गीकरण केलं जातं. ऍक्च्युअली द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ लिंकेज इज डिपेंड अपॉन द डिस्टन्स बिटवीन टू जीन्स on that chromosome. Distance between two genes on that chromosome, or we can say the distance between two linked genes on the same chromosome. त्या क्रोमोझोमवर असणाऱ्या दोन जीन्स मध्ये अंतर किती आहे, डिस्टन्स किती आहे याच्यावर त्या ठिकाणी लिंकेजची स्ट्रेंथ ही अवलंबून असते आणि याच्याच आधारावर त्याचे दोन प्रकार पाडले जातात. Such as the first one is known as complete linkage, and second incomplete linkage. First of all, complete linkage. Very simple. Complete linkage is the kind of linkage in which the two genes present on the same chromosome always remain together and inherit together generation after generations. The two genes present on the same chromosome always remain together and inherit together generation after generation. Means they do not separate from each other after inheritance of many generations also. Let me explain you. Suppose here is a chromosome, and on this chromosome here are few genes. Let me use the color. I am going to use different colors for your understanding. Now you can see here yellow colored, red colored, white color. These are supposed to be the genes. Now in this diagram, as these yellow, pink and white colored genes are placed very close to each other, and that's why they always tries to remain together and inherit together generation after generation. Means they do not separate from each other. ते एकमेकांपासून अलग होण्याची, सेपरेट होण्याची, वेगळे होण्याची शक्यता खूप कमी असते आणि म्हणून ते नेहमी बरोबरच राहण्याचा आणि बरोबरच पुढच्या पिढींमध्ये संक्रमित होण्याचा प्रयत्न करतात, किंबहुना बरोबरच राहतात. म्हणूनच याला कंप्लीट लिंकेज असं म्हणतात. आता प्रश्न निर्माण होतो की सेपरेट का होतील आणि केव्हा होतील. द जीन्स दो प्रेझेंट ऑन द सेम क्रोमोझोम, द जीन्स दो प्रेझेंट ऑन द सेम क्रोमोझोम, जरी एकाच क्रोमोझोमवर जीन्स असले तरी सुद्धा देयर इज अ चान्स ऑफ सेपरेशन ऑफ दॅट जीन्स from each other at the time of meiosis by crossing over. ज्या वेळेला meiosis होतं आणि क्रॉसिंग ओव्हर होतं त्यावेळेला एकाच क्रोमोझोम असणारे जीन्स एकमेकांपासून सेपरेट होऊ शकतात. Actually, crossing over, we people have studied in 11, and again we are going to study about crossing over in detail in our next lecture. But temporarily I want to tell you about the crossing over. You know that during crossing over, it occurs the mutual exchange of segments between non-sister chromatids of homologous chromosome. Mutual exchange of segments of non-sister chromatids of the homologous chromosomes. याला अशा प्रकारे आपण दाखवू शकतो. ओके, लेट मी यूज द कलर. ज्या वेळेला क्रॉसिंग ओव्हर होतं त्यावेळेला अशा प्रकारे आपल्याला माहिती आहे कायझमॅटा तयार होतो. होमोलॉगस क्रोमोझोम्सचे जे नॉन सिस्टर क्रोमॅटिड्स आहेत त्यांच्यामध्ये क्रॉसिंग होतं आणि त्या ठिकाणी त्या सेगमेंट्सचं म्युच्युअल एक्सचेंज होत असतं. म्हणजे पर्यायाने अ सेगमेंट ऑफ वन क्रोमोझोम or one chromatid is shared to the another, isn't it? Of course, this exchange is mutual, and that's why definitely there is, we can say, the separation of genes present on the same chromosome. Is that clear? But this separation is possible with regard to the genes which are not closely placed but placed far away from each other. So the crossing over and the separation of genes which are closely placed is not possible, and hence they show the complete linkage. मग complete linkage चा अर्थ काय होतो हे मी सांगत होतो. Complete linkage याचा अर्थ it is the tendency shown by closely placed genes on the same chromosome to remain together and inherit together generation after generation without separation, known as complete linkage. And incomplete linkage, very simple, it is the phenomenon in which the genes which are placed far away from each other on the same chromosome, though on the same chromosome, but they cannot remain together and inherit together for generation and generation. Hence, this type of linkage is called incomplete linkage. ज्या वेळेला एकाच क्रोमोझोमवर असणारे पण एकमेकांपासून दूर अंतरावर असणारे जे जीन्स आहेत ते पिढ्यानपिढ्या बरोबरच राहून बरोबरच पुढच्या पिढीत संक्रमित होऊ शकत नाही, because they can be separated from each other by the process of crossing over, and thus this type of linkage is called as the incomplete linkage. Actually, we people have to study about the example of complete linkage by considering the example of Drosophila and as well as of incomplete linkage concerned with the sweet pea plant, Lathyrus odoratus, scientific name. Drosophila मध्ये complete linkage दिसतं, ते आपण पुढच्या लेक्चर मध्ये शिकणार आहोत. आणि incomplete linkage हे पी प्लांट मध्ये शोधलं गेलं सर्वप्रथम, अर्थात Lathyrus odoratus हे त्या स्वीट पी प्लांटचं शास्त्रीय नाव आहे. Anyway, so here we have discussed about the types of linkage on the basis of strength of linkage, complete and incomplete. Now, the linkage can be classified on the basis of nature of chromosomes, nature of chromosomes, or type of chromosomes. It's very simple. There are two types such as autosomal linkage, and sex linkage. Autosomal linkage and sex linkage. Listen, autosomal linkage means it is the type of linkage shown by the genes present on autosomes. It is the linkage shown by genes present on autosomes. Autosomes म्हणजे काय? थोड्या वेळापूर्वी आपण शिकलो. Autosomes means the chromosomes which are responsible to control the general or somatic body characters are called autosomes. And the linkage shown by the genes present on sex chromosomes is known as the sex linkage. But we know that the sex chromosomes are of two types, isn't it? X and Y. Therefore, the sex linkage may be classified as X linkage and Y linkage. X linkage means it is the tendency of genes present on the X chromosome to remain together and inherit together. X linkage means it is the phenomenon of transmission of genes present on sex chromosome, and we can say Y linkage means it is the tendency shown by the genes present on Y chromosome to remain together and inherit together. Suppose here is the X chromosome, here is the Y chromosome, and the genes present mostly on the non-homologous part of X chromosome shows X linkage. X क्रोमोझोमचा जो नॉन होमोलॉगस पार्ट आहे, थोडा वेळापूर्वी आपण पाहिलं, त्या नॉन होमोलॉगस पार्टवर असणारे जी जीन्स असतात ते कंप्लीट लिंकेज दाखवतात आणि अशा क्रोमोझोमवर असणाऱ्या जीन्सला एक्स लिंक्ड जीन्स असं म्हणतात. द जीन्स प्रेझेंट ऑन द non-homologous part of X chromosome are known as the X-linked genes, while the genes present on the non-homologous part of Y chromosome are called Y-linked genes, and that Y-linked genes always remain together and inherit together. Hence, that phenomenon is called Y linkage. So here we have studied about the kinds of linkage. या ठिकाणी आपण kinds of linkage हा टॉपिक पूर्ण केलेला आहे. Now we have to study in detail once again about the sex linkage. पुन्हा एकदा आपल्याला sex linkage चा डिटेल अभ्यास करायचा आहे. There was one great scientist, namely T.H. Morgan. He performed certain experiments on Drosophila melanogaster. You know, it is a small sized insect, fruit fly, and that experiment and sex linkage we have to study in our next lecture. So let us stop here today and bye. Thank you.